Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today I'm going to be going over my 2023 NBA All-Star predictions and going over the players that I think deserve their certain roles in this year's All-Star game in Utah. Sorry I haven't been uploading a lot recently. I've been at school over in college, and I just had a lot of technology issues. I haven't really been able to upload or edit just because the internet there's not the greatest. But now that I have my computer back at home, I'm going to be able to punch out a lot more videos, hopefully. Follow my Instagram or Twitter. It's ZealsOKC if you have any, well, if you want to see any updates of what's going on in my life or whatever. Yeah, let's not waste any time. Let's hop right into this. So I'm here on a website that has every single player, I believe, that I need to add into this except for one. But yeah, let's not waste any time. I'm going to start off with my Eastern Conference starters because I think that is the most debatable topic. There's so many players that could start in the Eastern Conference, but what I'm going to do initially is put players in that category that I think can start this year, and I'm going to kind of debate my reasoning why around that. So that one of the first players I'm going to have in there is Kyrie Irving. I'm going to put Kevin Durant in that category. Jason Tatum is going to be there. Jaylen Brown is going to be in there. Donovan Mitchell is in that category. We are going to be putting the man Joel Embiid in that category. Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be in that category. We need to find our guy Pascal Siakam, and I believe that's it. I believe that's everyone that I want to have in that category, yes. So, as you could tell, we have 8 guys here, and only 5 of them can be starters. Now, my reasoning behind a lot of this is Brooklyn is really good. The Nets are really good. The Celtics are really good. The Bucks are really good. And the Cavs are also really good. And then Philly's right with them as well. Now, I think my reasoning behind a lot of this is that I don't want to see 2 Nets start or 2 Celtics start. So for that, I'm going to kind of figure out a way to get both of these guys, or at least one of these guys for every team in the starting lineup. Because like I said, the difference between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum starting, yes, Jaylen Brown is a slightly worse or having a worse season than Tatum, but that's not a huge drastic difference, or people can compare and contrast the season that Jaylen Brown's having compared to Donovan Mitchell, or things like that. And I'm not really here to nitpick who's better, who deserves it a little bit more. But I think what I'm going to do is, since we can only have 2 front court or 2 back court and 3 front court guys, I'm going to give Giannis one of the nods. I'm going to give one to Donovan Mitchell. And as much as I hate to say it, Kevin Durant is going to be one of the reserves, and so is going to be Jaylen Brown. Siakam has been really, really good this season. Toronto has been really underwhelming, which sucks. So I think he's also going to be in my reserves. And this is going to be my Eastern Conference stars. Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets, Donovan Mitchell, who's been tremendous this year for the Cleveland Cavaliers, really kind of jump-starting them into that playoff team, really solidifying themselves as a really good playoff team as the number 1 option. I don't really think they have any other all-star caliber guys this season. Evan Mobley has been good. Darius Garland has been good. He's dealing with a lot of injuries, and he just hasn't looked like he hasn't really looked like the Darius Garland we know and love. So that for that reason, I think Donovan Mitchell is the obvious all-star for that team. So now that we have our 2 backcourt, 3 frontcourt guys for the starters, we have 2 of our 3 reserves for the backcourt. However, we do get 2 additional players on top of the 5 men, so there's going to be 7 on the bench, 5 in the starters, and that is the same for both the East and the West. So I'm going to kind of go through the entire list now from bottom to the top and just say whether or not I think these guys get it. For example, I'm just going to put Trae Young right now in this sort of replacement / reserve. The Hawks have been so bad, but Trae's been solid. Trae was a guy I was really high on going into this year. I think he could have been in these MVP sort of talks, fulfilling a role of being a 25 to 30 point per game scorer with 10 assists, really leading his Hawks team to a top seed out east. The Hawks have not been that, and I don't think they really have a true bona fide all-star this year. Yes, I think Trae Young could deserve a spot, and I think he will get into it. However, for right now, I'm going to have him in this replacement / reserve sort of spot. I don't think any of the other Celtics, no Ben Simmons. LaMelo Ball is going to be in the miscellaneous. I think he's playing at an all-star caliber level now. He's shooting a ton of threes and knocking down a high clip of them. His court vision's unreal. But he just dealt with an injury for a really long time, and I don't think he's played enough games this season to really be eligible. Or if he's eligible, just he hasn't really proved enough to me that he deserves it over other guys in the amount of games that he's played. And the Hornets look god-awful, so I don't think they really deserve an all-star this season. I'm going to put DeMar DeRozan in that same category with Trae Young. The Bulls have been solid this year. He's been their number one option. Really the only consistent guy. He's taken a slight decrease in his efficiency and his statistical stats as compared to last season when he was in the MVP talks. Zach LaVine, he hasn't been great this season. I mean, we could put Darius Garland in the replacement, but I don't think he will. Luka Doncic is going to be a Western Conference starter, no doubt about it. He's one of the front runners for MVP right now. He's having one of the best NBA seasons of all time. The Mavericks, however, are just terrible without Luka, but they're still in a playoff positioning right now thanks to Luka Doncic, undisputed Western Conference starter. Same with Nikola Jokic, who's somehow in the run for a third time in a row MVP. He's been that good this season. He's been incredible. Without a doubt, is going to be the starting center for the Western Conference. Golden State. This is a very interesting sort of spot. I think Steph Curry will be a starter with Luka, being the two backcourt starters for the Western Conference. However, Steph has been dealing with this injury. He is planning to return tonight, which is big news for Golden State. However, I think this shoulder injury is something that lingers, and if another injury pops up, which I feel like it might, just because that injury, I've done a lot of research, that is an injury that tends to lurk with players for a long time, and especially being Steph Curry, who is one of the best shooters, or he is the greatest shooter of all time. You don't want to rush that. You don't want to rush him into the All-Star game. You want to have a healthy team going into the playoffs. You're defending champs. There's no need to rush it, but once Steph Curry has played this season, he's been tremendous, and I think he really deserves that All-Star spot, especially in the starting lineup. The rest of the starters, I don't think any of them deserve it this year. Jalen Green does not deserve it. Tyrese Halliburton does deserve a spot in the All-Star game for me, and I think he is my second reserve as a guard. Now, Jaylen Brown is listed as like a guard/wing, but just for this instance, we're going to list him as a guard, as the two guard technically. Clippers, I think Paul George is the only guy that's really in that sort of realm for being a reserve in this All-Star game. The Clippers have not been great. They've been dealing with a lot of load management injuries. Kawhi Leonard doesn't play half the games. Paul George sits out a lot, but when he does play, he's been pretty solid, and I think good enough to where the Clippers are a solid enough team. Paul George puts up good enough numbers, good counting stats, and I think he deserves a spot in the All-Star game this year. Anthony Davis is going to be someone I'm putting in the miscellaneous tab, but he could easily be a Western Conference starter just because he has this injury, but when he played, he was tremendous. He looked amazing, one of the best Anthony Davises we've seen in the past few seasons, or even in a Lakers jersey. He's been that good, but I just don't know if he's going to be back for this All-Star game. So if he is eligible, I think he will be a starter and will likely start over whoever I'm going to be announcing. I'm not going to say who it is yet, but he will be starting if he's playing. If not, he's going to make the All-Star game 1,000%. But for now, I'm going to have him in the miscellaneous tab with LaMelo Ball, who, again, I just don't think he's going to play enough games to really be eligible, or if he does, will just missed out. LeBron James will be a starter. He's been really, really good this season, and if he does not make the All-Star starting lineup, I'll be super surprised. He has the whole fan base on his back. Coach is one of the greatest players of all time, and he's been really good at 38 years old. Ja Morant is another guy who I think is going to be a reserve in the Western Conference, no doubt about it. The Grizzlies have been great. Ja Morant has been really impressive, giving us a show every night. But his running man, Jaren Jackson Jr., is a guy that I'm going to put at the end of the replacement. I think he's my front runner for the Defensive Player of the Year right now. He's been really, really good this season, and I think a lot of people don't appreciate how good Jaren Jackson Jr. really is on both sides of the floor. He's a true definition of a 3-and-D big. He's one of the best rim protectors in the entire league. He's athletic. He can run to the rim. He reminds me more of like a stretch forward that can defend extremely well, that's athletic, rather than like a big man poster player up style center. But he's been really good this year, and I think he's towards the end of the replacement list. I don't think he will get in, but I think if it really comes down to it, he could make it if need be. Bam Adebayo, very good season this year. The Heat have been struggling. I don't think Jimmy Butler or Kyle Lowry are in that really consideration for an all-star spot this year, considering that the Heat are they're a playoff team, but they have not been super impressive. Bam Adebayo, to me, is going to be a reserve, and I think there you go. That right there are my starters and reserves, and I have 2 spots left. There's still a ton of talent out there in the Eastern Conference that I have to pick 2 more guys to make this all-star team. Anthony Edwards, another guy I think I'm going to put in the replacement. He's been solid this year. Timberwolves have not been good, and I don't think he's really taken that huge jump like we expected him to. Karl-Anthony Towns unfortunately got hurt. He won't be eligible. Rudy Gobert has not been good. Ingram has been hurt. CJ McCollum has been really good. And then my last Western Conference starter is Zion Williamson. He's been so good. He just got hurt and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. I'm hoping he will be back, but he's in another situation similar to Anthony Davis where if he does make it, I think he will be a starter. And if both of them are eligible to play, I think Anthony Davis will get that starting spot over him, and he will be a reserve. But for now, I think he will be healthy enough to be able to play in the All-Star game. And if he is, he's been killing it this year. The Pelicans have been really, really good when he plays, and even when he doesn't play. But Zion Williamson fully deserves a spot in this year's All-Star game, and I can't wait to see. Like this top 5 is super, super fun to watch, and I would love to be able to tune into that basketball game. Excuse me for a second there. Moving on, we have the Knicks. Now, the Knicks have been streaky all season. They're a roller coaster of a team, either high losing streaks, high winning streaks. And I think it's tough because I think both these guys are cusp all-stars. Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, both of them solid this year. Like I said, streaky, very, very streaky. Julius Randle started the season so bad, and now he's on a really high level. I think I don't know. I don't think the Knicks get one. I was going to put him in a replacement, but I just don't think they deserve it. They've been so 50-50. I don't think I can guarantee him a spot. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 100% deserves an all-star spot this year. He was another guy. If Steph Curry doesn't get the spot, Shai will start in his place over Ja Morant. I think the fan voting will give it to Ja Morant just because he's the popular name. He's more fun to watch than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in a lot of people's eyes for some reason. But Shai's been killing it this year. He's 3rd, 4th in the league in scoring, 31 points per game. The Thunder team on paper are the 13th seed in the NBA, but they're only like 2 games back from the 6th seed. They've been really fun to watch, very impressive. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has finally hit that huge leap to officially bounce into a top 15 player in the league. He's been phenomenal, and he should definitely make this Western Conference team, if not be a potential starter. James Harden is a guy that I think will be a reserve. He'll be towards the end of the list for a reserve, and I'm going to start to fly through this list a little bit more and put players where I think they deserve to be, and then we'll kind of touch on it as time goes on. Damian Lillard, I think he could potentially be in the replacement. De'Aaron Fox, I'm going to put replacement and give Sabonis one of the reserve spots. Fred VanVleet, I don't think the Raptors guys, Fred VanVleet or I'm completely blanking on Scotty Barnes' name. Bradley Beal has not been great this season. But Kristaps Porzingis has. Unfortunately, they've been so bad that I don't even think they deserve any recognition. The Wizards are terrible this year, but Kristaps Porzingis, he's been really, really good. Clint Capella, DeAndre Hunter, they do not deserve any recognition. And yeah, I think we covered everyone. Now, the one guy I was talking about that is not on this list is Lauri Markkanen, and he deserves to be a Western Conference All-Star this year. He's been really, really good, and for him not to get the recognition that he deserves is kind of annoying because he's been on a tear on both sides of the floor. He's a sneaky guy that gets those blocks. He could shoot the lights out the ball at 7 foot. He kind of just really, at the start of the season, a lot of people had questions. Is Colin Sexton going to be the number one option? What about Lauri Markkanen? There were so many unanswered questions, and Lauri Markkanen just came in, took that role up. He snags rebounds. He's a lethal scorer. And the Jazz team started off really good this season. It kind of coasted since the beginning of November. I want to say middle of November. But I think Lauri Markkanen does deserve one of those spots in the Western Conference reserves. Now, if we look at it, we do have, that would put us here. If we have Lauri Markkanen where the Devin Booker sort of shadow is, and then we have one more spot. Now, that one more spot, to me, that last spot comes down between Damian Lillard and De'Aaron Fox. Now, I was doing a little bit more deep diving into all of this, and I think Sacramento has been so good this year. Like the Beam, they've had a really fun to watch team. They're proving so many people wrong. But I just don't think that they're going to get enough credit to give the Kings 2 All-Stars this year. And as much as I hurt to do it, I think I got to give this last spot to Damian Lillard. Again, as much as I hate to do it, Fox has been so good and he deserves the spot. I just don't see who I could give it to. The only guy I could potentially see it would be Damian Lillard, but Lillard has the better counting stats. He has a slightly worse team this year, but he's had more of an impact. Arguably, it's a really tough decision, but I think that will go to. I think that would go to Damian Lillard. As much as I hate to say it, but De'Aaron Fox has been tremendous this season. It sucks to see that he won't get the All-Star nod this year. It's just how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. But yeah, and then we have one more Eastern Conference reserve, and I think I'm going to give that spot to DeMar DeRozan. The Bulls have been 50-50. They've kind of been all over the place this season, but DeMar still has been very solid for them. He hasn't obviously had that huge of a season as he did last year, but he's been good enough, and that's what matters, and I think they are good enough to really deserve an All-Star this season. So yeah, I think some of the guys that you won't see be making an All-Star team this year. There's a world where Trae Young surprisingly doesn't make it. I think Tyrese Halliburton has taken over that sort of spot. I think arguably there's a good chance that Trae Young can make it over James Harden or DeMar DeRozan. Again, we still have another month before the All-Star break happens. We're halfway through the NBA season so far. But yeah, again, this list is not perfect. I'm not going to get it right 1,000% of the time. Remember, Lauri Markkanen is in this spot. 2 weeks from now or tomorrow, this could all change. We could see Siakam and the Raptors go on a 10-game winning streak, and he's immediately moved up to this spot right here. Anthony Davis could come back tomorrow, and he could be moved up and replace Zion Williamson, and then that would bump out whoever it may be. So I know this is a longer video, and I know this is very debatable. Nobody at all is going to agree with me, I'm sure, because everyone just loves to disagree and make arguments about whatever it may be. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this sort of video, let me know down in the comments below by leaving a like as well. Let me know who you think I left out or showed recognition for. I'm trying to get back into this whole sort of YouTube talking about basketball sort of thing. It's what I really enjoy doing. And I'm not perfecting it yet. I'm doing my best. But again, I haven't recorded a video like this in a few months. I tried doing one in my dorm at Temple in, August, I want to say it was. The day Donovan Mitchell got traded, I recorded a video. The Wi-Fi there was terrible. It was a whole process, but I'm leaving my computer at home so I could come home on the weekends, record videos, upload, whatever it may be. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave it a like down below. Yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.